Very good morning, all of you. This is our second successive talk. So the today's topic is on asteroid. Since we were celebrating Asteroid Day on 30th June, and so on the occasion of Asteroid Day, we have decided to come live again, and to basically to give knowledge about asteroids and to see how asteroids behave in their in day-to-day life. Speaker Sai Shetty. She is basically working in HPCSC TIFR as a project scientific assistant, and she is associated with the International Astronomy Olympiads, and so she will be our speaker for today. Without wasting much time, I will just hand over the talk to Sai, and let's hear from her how basically asteroids are, and let's see what she has in her talk. So first of all, good morning, Sai. A very warm welcome to you, and I hope actually I'm really sorry for the delay in the due to some technical issue. There was some delay, but now we are going to start. So now we are going to start it, and I will just hand over the talk to you. After the talk, I just request all the participants to note down their questions in the chat box. After talk, we will go to the questions one by one, and then we will answer, and then we will discuss about the questions. So a very good morning to all of you, and a very happy Guru Purnima to all of you. Let's start, Sai. I guess I'm just handing over to you now.
Yes. All right. So hello everyone. Good morning. I'm Sai, and on behalf of our educators, I welcome you all to this online talk on asteroids. Okay. So this talk is actually specially arranged to celebrate the International Asteroid Day. Okay. So now, what is this International Asteroid Day? So how many of you were actually aware about this day? Not many? No problem. Kudos to those who actually know, and for those who are not aware about it, International Asteroid Day is celebrated every year on 30th of June. Okay, and why is this particular date selected to celebrate this big event? Okay, so what happened was, on this particular day, that is on 30th of June, in 1908, there was this great event that took place in Russia. Okay, so in the morning on 30th of June, at approximately at 7 a.m., there was this big asteroid of about 40 meters of diameter. It came gushing down the atmosphere, and as it was moving with this huge and tremendous speed, the friction between the asteroid and the atmospheric layers caused that rock to heat up so much that finally it caught fire. Okay, and now as this huge ball of fire was traveling through the atmosphere, okay, the people over there, the witnesses, they said that they saw a very, very bright bluish column through the sky moving with a great speed. Okay, and after some time, this ball of fire, it exploded in the air. Okay, and after the explosion, the overall heat in that area, it rose up to such a high temperature that the people thought that the clothes they were wearing, they were on fire. Okay, and thankfully, fortunately, this particular collision, like the asteroid did not actually land on the surface of the earth. Okay, it just disintegrated in the atmosphere, and this particular explosion took place at an height of about 30 kilometers from the ground. Okay, so there is no crater in near that river. Okay, but we cannot we cannot refuse to the great impacts that this explosion left. Okay, so the object disintegrated in the air, as I said, at an altitude of 5 to 10 kilometers about Earth's surface. Okay, and 80 million trees have burned in that area, and the total area of that forest was approximately 2,000 kilometers square. Okay, 2,150. Thankfully, no one was killed, okay, touch wood. But this particular explosion, it was 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb at Hiroshima. Okay, so everyone remembers during the World War II, America had, dropped a bomb on Hiroshima, which is in Japan. Okay, and that particular explosion had very very devastating effects later on, and many people were killed. Okay, so thankfully in this incident, no one was killed, but there were many these after effects. Okay, so in order to memorize this particular day and increase awareness about in the public about this day and the effects of an asteroid impact, United Nations Assembly, it passed a resolution in 2016, and it declared that June 30 will be observed as an International Asteroid Day every year. Okay, so since 2016 it has been observed and celebrated every year, and this is the fifth year of the celebration. Okay, all right, so 5 मिनट से मतलब मैं बोले जा रही हूँ एस्टेरॉयड एस्टेरॉयड एस्टेरॉयड, पर ये एस्टेरॉयड है क्या चीज़? ओके, ये कहाँ से आते हैं, कहाँ बनते हैं? ओके, सो यू वोंट हैव टू वेट लॉन्ग फॉर दैट because we have just our next slide coming up. So asteroids are just rocky metallic bodies that orbit around the sun. Okay, so they are not very special. Okay, they are just rocky and metallic, and they orbit around the sun like other planets. Okay, now asteroid is a word derived from the Greek, and it says star-like. Okay, so something that appears apparently as a star. It is not a star, but it appears apparently as a star. Okay, now most of these objects, they lie in a belt between Mars and Jupiter. Okay, so I guess all of you know, have a rough picture of solar system in our head. Okay, yes, the sun is in the center. Then we have the first planet Mercury, Venus, our Earth, Mars. Okay, and now between Mars and our fifth planet, which is Jupiter, we have this huge area where no planets are found. Okay, and here is where this particular belt is located. Okay, now some of these asteroids, okay, they share the Jupiter's orbit. So not all these asteroids are seen within this belt between Mars and Jupiter, but some share Jupiter's orbit, and these are known as Trojan asteroids. Okay, now on your right, you can see these two particular pictures. The first one is Ceres, the largest asteroid found, and the second one is Pallas, and it is the second largest asteroid in the belt. Okay, and both of these are situated in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. Okay, so here is just a representative picture of what exactly it looks like. So as I said, we have Sun, Mercury, our very own Earth, Mars, and then we have this asteroid belt surrounding all these planets. Okay, and then we have the orbit of Jupiter. Okay, and on each of the side of this planet Jupiter, we have these Trojan asteroids. Okay, now something to observe over here, you can see the distance between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter. Yes, it is very very huge. Okay, compared to the distances between inner planets. All right, so let's begin the journey. Let's get to know more about how they were created, when they were created, etc. Okay, so when actually did it all begin? इसकी शुरुआत कब से हुई? Okay, so the answer is obviously 4.5 billion years ago, when solar system was getting formed. It was new, it was in its initial stages, and when it was being formed, that is when the birth of asteroids took place. Okay, so that was when gas and dust, they were just revolving around the newly formed star, which is our sun, and that gas and dust, it started interacting with each other. Okay, now most of these young stars, unless they are in a closed binary system, they are surrounded by the remnants of material from which they are formed. Okay, so as you can see in the picture also, there is a huge extent of gas and dust which is surrounding the sun. Okay, so all right, so many of us might know about the Newton's law of gravitation. Okay, so every mass, it attracts every other mass with a force which is inversely proportional to the distance. Okay, and it is directly proportional to the mass. Okay, so if there are two mass bodies which are near each other, okay, the force between them is going to be very large if they are near. Okay, and if they are far away, as they move far away from each other, that force is going to reduce. And it also depends on how heavy or how much mass these two bodies contain. Okay. So as we all know, mass attracts more mass. Okay. So small particles are going to attract other small particles, and they will coalesce to form bigger particles. Okay. And now this chain reaction just continues further. So bigger particles will attract other bigger particles as well as small particles, and they will form big rocks. Now big rocks will form boulders, and continuing the same process, the planets were made, or they came into existence around the sun. Now after the formation of planets, okay, there were some remnants which couldn't come together to form big bodies. Okay. So these remnants are nothing but the asteroids and comets, and we have named them depending on their distance from the parent star. Okay. So if the distance from the sun is like lesser, that particular thing is called an asteroid, and if it is like very very large and it is a smaller structure, then it is called comets. Okay. Now what happened interestingly was the birth of Jupiter. It prevented any planetary bodies from forming in the gap between Mars and Jupiter. Okay. So we all might have heard, or during the school days, we have read it in our textbooks, that Jupiter is the largest and the hugest planet in the solar system. Okay. It is so huge कि उसके अंदर हम लोग 1300 पृथ्वियाँ रख सकते हैं. Okay. 1300 Earths can fit into Jupiter. It is so very huge. Okay. So such a huge body is going to have very huge gravitational force associated with it, right? So what happened was, when Jupiter was created, it kind of started, attracting these asteroids from nearby area. Okay. So on one hand we had Sun attracting these asteroids, and on the other hand we had Jupiter. Okay. So there was kind of some tug of war between these two, and what happened was, this led to prohibition of formation of any kind of structure between this particular belt. Okay. So many times it caused the smaller objects to like collide with each other and fragment into pieces, and so these are actually the asteroids which we see today. Okay. So this is just a representative picture to show you how this belt actually looks like. Okay. So if you see, this is like just a donut. Okay. It can be visualized as the shape of a donut, and this particular belt or disc is not a very solid one. Okay. It is not a very solid one. There are large spaces in between these asteroids. Okay. And they all go around the sun. Now up till now, we have found 1.1 to 1.9 million asteroids who have diameters greater than that of 1 kilometer. Okay. And there are several billions of others whose diameters are less than 1 kilometer. Okay. So now you will understand how little these bodies are if we compare them to the planets. Okay. So if you remember, the diameter of Earth is approximately 12,000 kilometers. Okay. So these bodies are very very small compared to the planets. Now the total mass of all these objects, all these asteroids, if we calculate it, it comes out to be lesser than that of our moon. Okay, so moon is the natural satellite of Earth, we all know. And suppose you have a very big weighing balance, and you collect all these asteroids and put them in that balance, you will find out that the total mass, it comes out to be less than that of moon. Okay. So now we can imagine how little these structures are compared to the planets and our sun. Okay. So more than 150 asteroids are also known to have a small companion moon, and some even have two moons. Okay. So here is this picture where one of the asteroids discovered, it had a smaller companion, and hence these structures are called as binary asteroids. Okay, so there are two asteroids. One of them is either revolving around the other, or two of them are going around the common center of mass. Now, when exactly were these asteroids discovered? Okay, so there was a scientist in 18th century, and his name was Johann Bode. Okay, and he first suggested that there might be some undiscovered planet which could exist between Mars and Jupiter. So we already know that there is this huge distance separating these two planets, okay? And so the scientist, he thought that there might be a planet existing between them, which we haven't yet discovered or haven't yet seen through a telescope. Okay, and the reason was he had developed this particular formula, which gave us the approximate distance of each planet from the sun. Okay, so just for your reference, okay, we are going to measure these distances in astronomical units, okay, not in meters, not in kilometers, but we have a new unit here, which is AU, astronomical unit. Okay, now what exactly is this unit? Okay, so this unit is actually the average distance between sun and earth. Okay, so we all know what that distance is. It is almost 15 crore kilometers. Now it might be a bit inconvenient to say 15 crore kilometers, 15 and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have just made a convenient unit where one astronomical unit is equal to 15 crore kilometers. Okay, so based on that, on this unit, we are going to express the distances of all the planets. Okay, now according to this particular formula, we have A, which is the distance of the planet from the sun, and it is equal to 0.4 plus 0.3 into 2 raised to m. Okay, now you might be wondering, what is this m? Okay, this m is nothing but a serial number given to each of the planet. Okay, so beginning with Mercury, we have given Mercury the number minus infinity, and after that we begin numbering from 0. So Venus will be 0, Earth will be 1, Mars will be 2, and so on. Okay, now when we substitute this m, you get the distance of that particular planet. Okay, so beginning with Mercury, if we substitute 2 raised to minus infinity, so infinity is a very huge number, and minus infinity is very small number. Okay, so if anything raised to minus infinity is a very small number, and it is considered almost equal to closer to 0, tending to 0. Okay, so 0.3 into 0 is going to be 0, so we are left with A equal to 0.4, which is nothing but distance of Mercury from the sun. Now when you match this particular expected distance with the observed mean distance, okay, it comes out to be pretty close. Okay, so the observed distance was 0.39. Now we'll just check with one more planet, which will be Venus. So you get 2 raised to 0, m is 0 for Venus. So 2 raised to 0 is 1, because anything raised to 0 is 1. So 0.3 into 1 will be 0.3. And then we have A is equal to 0.7, which also matches with the observed distance. Okay, so because of this formula, okay, after mass, if you substitute 3, okay, 2 is for mass, and the next serial number will be 3. The A which he calculated was 2.8. Now at 2.8 AU, there was no planet discovered up till then. Okay, because directly after Mars, we had Jupiter at 5.2 astronomical units. Okay, so Johann Bode was quite confused, and he thought that there might be some planet which is situated at a distance of 2.8 AU. Okay, but people they tried to find it and they couldn't. So they just ignored this fact and thought that maybe it was some mere coincidence that this formula fitted well with the distances. Okay, now later what happened was, in year 1781, there was this scientist named William Herschel, and he was looking through his telescopes to some fainter stars which we cannot see with the naked eyes. Okay, so during that time, what he observed was, like, he observed these stars every night, right? So what he observed was that there was this tiny speck which was changing its position every day. Okay, so now stars are very far from us, and within a period of day, they don't change positions. Okay, so what is this tiny speck which is moving yahan se wahan every night? So later on, they just they did some research, and they found out that it was the our planet after beyond Saturn, which was Uranus. Okay, now they calculated Uranus distance, and it came out to be 19.81. So just to curiosity check, they cross checked it with the radius we got from Bode's law, and it surprisingly it did match with it. Okay, so according to the Stetius Bode law, it says it should be at a distance of 19.6, whereas the observed distance was 19.18. Okay, so this kind of renewed the interest of scientists in actually finding that planet which should be present at 2.8 AU. Okay, so then they made more efforts to find this out, and finally their efforts paid off. Okay, so the first asteroid was discovered in January 1801. Okay, and that first asteroid was named as Ceres. So you have the picture of Ceres on the right hand side, and this is what Ceres looks like. Okay, now originally it was considered a planet. So obviously because you had that law which gave the planets distances, and distance of Ceres matched with that of the one given from the formula. So people thought it was a planet. Okay, but later on, as research progressed, they reclassified it as an asteroid. Okay. So why did they do this? That is because as they started observing Ceres and its surroundings, they found out that Ceres was not alone. Okay, there were many such objects revolving around the sun at that particular distance. Okay, or somewhat closer beyond and before that. So Ceres does not come into the category of planet because it is not fulfilling the conditions. Okay, so for any object to be a planet, it should be round, and it should have its own distinct and unique orbit. Okay, and it should have cleared its neighborhood. Okay, so Ceres does not fall into this category. It has many of its the asteroids, they are moving around the sun near Ceres. Okay. Okay, so Ceres was the largest asteroid, and its diameter is 945 kilometers. Okay. Another wonderful fact about this asteroid, is that it is round in shape. Okay. Now, why am I emphasizing this fact is because most of the other asteroids, they are not round in shape. Okay. They have some irregular shapes because they are not so massive and big that that gravity can form it into a circular shape. Okay, but this particular thing is an exception. It has a circular shape. Okay, now scientists, they also recently when the extensive research is going on these asteroids, scientists doubt that there is some presence of subsurface ocean under Ceres, where life can sustain. So people are quite interested about this fact, and research is going on extensively in this field. Okay, now in 2006, the International Astronomical Union has reclassified Ceres as a dwarf planet. Okay, because it is round, it is not irregular, and also it has some similarities with these planets. Okay, but still it is not a planet, it is a dwarf planet along with our Pluto. Now, why are we studying these asteroids? Okay, so they might seem very insignificant in front of these stars and galaxies which we see from the telescope, because they are so fascinating, and we can learn so much about them. But these asteroids are it is just dust. It is kachra in front of all this, yeah, right? Because it was not able to form any planet. These are just leftovers. Okay, so why do we need to study asteroid? Is there any need? Okay, so yes, obviously there is, because these asteroids, even though as insignificant as they might appear, they offer clues to the chemical mixture from which the planets were formed. Okay, so as I said, these asteroids, they are the building blocks by which the planets were created. Okay, तो ये रॉ मटेरियल है जिससे अपने सारे प्लैनेट, सारे ग्रह बने हुए हैं, राइट? तो उनसे ही हम लोग को क्लू मिलेगा कि एक्चुअली ओरिजिनली द केमिकल, व्हाट वाज द केमिकल मिक्सचर फ्रॉम व्हिच द प्लैनेट्स वर फॉर्म्ड. Secondly, they tell us about the origin of the system, because they were there since the beginning of the solar system, and not much has happened to change their structures. Okay, so all the planets, they undergo so many changes, due to asteroid impacts, the atmosphere changes. Now we are living on Earth, we have caused so many changes on Earth, global warming, etc. So these are actually the original untouched entities of the solar system, and we can get to know so much about them. Okay. The third one is that, yeah, this is what I've told you. Okay, no. So the asteroids, they have played a major role in modifying the Earth's biosphere. Okay. So first, maybe it is thought that Earth was not a habitable zone since the very beginning. Okay, when it was newly created, it was very hot, and then later on it cooled down. And we also know that there was ice age, then there were dinosaurs ruling the planet, and we all might have, we can recollect that the extinction of dinosaur is an event which was caused due to the asteroid impact. So, do you think we could have coexisted with such dangerous species? Obviously, no. Okay, so asteroids have actually played a major role. Due to that asteroid impact, the dinosaurs were wiped out. There were many changes which took place on the Earth, and then it became quite habitable for such a fragile species, which are we humans are. We could survive on this planet. It is also, doubtful that scientists are doubting that maybe asteroids are the ones which brought water to the Earth. Okay, so here this is the area where research is actually going on, and we are not very sure, but this is one of the speculations. Okay, the fifth thing is actually a very interesting one, and it is a very recent subject of interest, is asteroid mining. So we all know we have depleted many natural resources from Earth, the oils, many rocks, and all these minerals. Okay, so there is a slight possibility or chance that maybe we can exploit these asteroids and get all these valuable minerals from them. Okay, so this is just an idea. It is not being implemented, but it's something that people are thinking about. The sixth thing is, obviously we need to learn about asteroids for Earth safety. Okay, कब कहाँ से एस्टेरॉयड आएगा हम लोग को कुछ पता भी नहीं चलेगा. We should be well informed about this, right? So we should learn about them. We should know about their orbits, when is the close approach, etc., etc. So these are the things because due to which we should study asteroids. Okay, so now asteroids, they are basically classified into three groups based on what they are made up of. Okay, so the first type is the C type, and these asteroids are mostly grayish in color, and they are the most common. Okay, they make 75% of the known asteroids. So these are the most common types, and Ceres, the largest asteroid, it falls under this category. Okay, the second type is the S type. Okay, these are greenish to reddish in color, and they mostly dominate the inner asteroid belt. Okay, so there is this main belt, so it can be divided into inner, middle portion, and the outer. Okay, so these S types, they are mostly found in the inner asteroid belt, and they make up 17% of the total known asteroids. The last one is the N type, and these are a bit reddish in color, and they form most of the rest, like the remaining, and they are found in the middle region of the belt. Okay, so there are these three types: C, S, and N. Now, why do we need to worry about it? Okay, so asteroids are located at such a huge distance from us, as we already know. They are beyond the orbit of Mars. So do we really need to worry about them? Okay. Now, what happens is Jupiter is just lying after the asteroid belt, right? And it is a huge planet, as we all know. And as I've told you, it can fit inside it 1300 Earths. Okay. Now, what happens is gravity of Jupiter, it sometimes influences the orbits of these minor bodies which are orbiting around the sun. So what happens is, if any asteroid, or if Jupiter happens to pass by some asteroid, it knocks it out away from the orbit. Okay, so once it is knocked out from its stable orbit, it will either move towards Jupiter, okay, or it will move towards the sun, because both are playing tug of war, as I told you. Okay, so what happens is the ones which go towards Jupiter, we already know those are called Trojan asteroids, but some which fly in the direction of Earth, they are known as near Earth asteroids, or NEA. Okay, so now asteroids have moved closer to Earth, as we can see here now, from the main belt to near Earth. Okay, now also in near Earth orbit, we have these three types based on the distance from the Earth. Okay, so the first type is so let's begin with the basics. This is the Sun. Okay, then you have orbit of Mercury here. Okay, then the second orbit is of Venus, and the third orbit is that of the Earth. Okay, this is Mars. Okay, so now, and this is the asteroid belt which I'm talking about. Okay, this bluish structure. Okay, now this particular orbit, is the orbit of one of the type of that near Earth asteroids. Okay, these are known as Amur asteroids. Okay, so this particular orbit, it does not intersect with the Earth's orbit. Okay, so it is still like far compared to the others. Okay, and most of the time it's spent in this asteroid belt. Okay, so as you can see, this is the asteroid belt, and most of its life it is going to spend in the asteroid belt, and only some of its time it is going to come inside the inner solar system. Okay, so these are known as the Amur asteroids. Okay, the next type is the Apollo asteroids. Now the orbit of these asteroids, it does intersect with the Earth, but again they spend most of their life outside the orbit. Okay, so as you can see, the major portion of the orbit is outside the Earth's orbit, and sometimes they do come inside the Earth's orbit. Okay? The third and the most dangerous is the Aten asteroids. Okay, now what happens, they are also intersecting with the Earth's orbit. Okay, and they spend their entire life inside the Earth's orbit. Okay, so these are the ones from which we should be very, very careful. Okay, now up till now, more than 20,000 near Earth asteroids have been discovered. Okay, and we cannot say surely that this is the final number. Okay, every day people are extensively looking out for these things, and every month there are a bunch of new asteroids which are discovered. Okay, in various shapes and sizes. So up till now, we know 20,000 are there in near our orbit. Okay, now, as I said, not all NEAs are dangerous, okay, because they are considerably far, and we don't need to worry about all of those, but only from those who come very close to the Earth. Okay, so this is just a graph which has been disclosed by NASA. Okay, so as of now, as you can see, in 2020, we have known almost more than 20,000 asteroids. Okay, and the number is going to increase further day by day, and yeah, that is it. Okay, now from which particular asteroid should we be careful? Okay, so anything closer to the moon's orbit, okay, and which is more than 1 kilometer wide, is very, very dangerous, and it is always been kept track of. So once we find these asteroids, we always keep track of them, and we always observe what orbit they are following, when are they going to come the closest to the Earth, etc. Okay, so these particular asteroids are very dangerous, but some small side asteroids, they get burnt in the atmosphere, and they can be seen as shooting star in the night. Okay, so you might have heard about this term of shooting star. Okay, इसको टूटता तारा भी बोलते हैं हिंदी में. ओके, एंड वी आर फॉन्ड ऑफ इट, एंड वी आर फैसिनेटेड बाय इट. और हम लोग को मतलब बचपन में बोला भी जाता है कि मतलब देखो देखो छोटा टूटता तारा है, कोई तो विश मांगो. ओके, एंड वी थिंक दैट आवर विशेस आर गोइंग टू कम ट्रू. ओके, kids think that way. So here is this picture of how it actually looks like. It just looks like a small streak of light in the sky. Okay, and it is a very pretty sight. You should be able to see this once in your lifetime. Okay, now, do asteroids fall on Earth? Okay, so what do you all think? Yes, obviously. What kind of question is that? Okay, they do, obviously. Okay, now asteroids and comets, they have routinely slammed onto the planet. We know about that because since we have begun the session with the Tunguska event, and we also know about the dinosaur event which took place. Okay, but the very dangerous ones are like pretty rare. Okay, so we don't need to be very, very worried about this, but being careful is the way out. Okay, so yeah. Alright, now an asteroid impact around 65 million years ago, it led to the extinction of dinosaurs. Okay, so that was a pretty huge explosion, and it altered the Earth's atmosphere so much that the dinosaurs, they no longer could live on the Earth. Okay, now this particular event, it took place in Mexico, and the crater which was formed because of that asteroid impact is 150 kilometers in diameter. Okay, so this is a very huge crater. Okay, might also be the hugest. Okay, and it is 20 kilometers deep. Okay, so here you can see the pictures of the crater in the Mexico. But now if you go there, you won't find that crater to be so big. Okay, first thing is because it's way back in the history. It is 65 million years ago. Okay, And later on, there were some changes. Obviously, it is covered by sand, and all these erosion take place. There are rains and everything. So, it is not as huge as it was back then, but it is definitely one of the hugest. Okay? Now, what happens when an impact takes place? Okay, something is going to happen, something terrible is obviously going to happen. Now, we have classified these events in an ascending order. Okay, so the smallest ones, or the ones which cause almost no danger, are bolides. Okay, and they are up to they are capable of causing destruction up to 5 megaton. Okay, now, what is megaton? Okay, so have you heard about this explosive called as TNT? I'm sure you have heard. Okay, so when America had bombed Hiroshima, at that time the bomb dropped was made of TNT, and it was as powerful as 15 kilotons of TNT. Okay, and even that amount was okay. Just excuse me a little bit, Baba. Baba. Okay, sorry, this is how work from home takes place. Okay. So, all right, where was I? Yeah, the Hiroshima attack. Okay, so the power of that particular bomb was 15 kilotons, and it almost killed 80,000 people over there. And it had many major impacts on the health, and it spread so many diseases. Okay, people were exposed to these harmful rays of the explosion. Okay, and so it had created a huge destruction. Okay, but now this particular bolides is 5 megatons, so it is almost 100 times more massive than that particular event. Okay, now what are these bolides exactly? So these are extremely bright meteors. So remember, I've told. Can you recollect the GIF where I show you a shooting star? Okay, so it was a pretty cool one. It was not at all looking harmful. It was just a slight streak in the sky. It was very pretty. Okay, but bolides are very bright than that. Okay, so they are extremely bright meteors, and it explodes in the atmosphere. So as you can see here, it looks like the fireworks during Diwali. Okay, something more than that, more brighter than that. And yeah, so it is also called as a fireball, and it can be as bright as full moon. So you can imagine how bright these particular things are, and they almost do not cause any destruction. Okay, so they don't land on earth, and they can be seen mostly in the skies, and as a fireball effect kind of. The next class is the Tunguska class. Okay, so you remember about this event which took place in Russia, right? So these come under super bolides because they are more capable of destruction than these bolides, and they are as powerful as 15 megaton. Okay, so the first one was 5 megaton, and this is 15 megaton. Okay, now the damage is similar to a large nuclear bomb. Okay, and it can be a city killer if it lands on the earth. Okay, now the average interval for the whole earth is almost 100 years. So you can imagine such an event, or you can expect such an event to occur once in 100 years. Okay, तो कहीं वो साल ये तो नहीं, क्योंकि you all know a century ago this particular event took place. So all right, now the minor risk relative, it is considered to be a minor risk relative to the other natural disasters. Now this is because in a span of 100 years anything else can happen. Yes, like we had coronavirus, it is killing like thousands of people every day. We can also have earthquakes, we can have volcanoes. Okay, so in that particular sense, this particular impact is pretty rare. Okay, so it is considered as a minor risk. Now, recently, so that Tunguska event was way back, right? It was in 1908. But recently, such an impact took place in Chelyabinsk, again in Russia. So Russia seems to be attracting danger. So this particular thing happened in Russia in February 2013. Okay, so an asteroid entered the atmosphere with very high speed, and its diameter was lesser. It was almost 20 meters, and its velocity was 19 kilometers per second. Okay, and it bursted out in the air. So it was an explosion which took place in the air 30 kilometers above the ground. So the Russian people seem to be very fortunate, So there was no killings again, there was no crater again, because this particular explosion took place in the air, out in the air. So but it was obviously there were other things which were destructed, such as the construction sites were the ones which underwent more of a damage. So the half-built walls, the brick walls, they all fell down, and also a lot of buildings were the window panes of the buildings, they were shattered. So when this explosion takes place, there are a lot of sound waves and shock waves which are emitted. Okay, so you can relate this somewhat to to the days in Ganpati. So during Ganpati we have all these dhols, and people are uh, uh, I mean they are taking Ganpatis to their home. At that time, we hear these dhols, or even sometimes the societies, they keep DJ parties. So at that time, you feel as if the windows are vibrating constantly. Okay, so if such a small thing can cause our windows to vibrate, so this huge explosion, it leads to the shattering of the window panes. Okay, so eventually many people were injured, but no one was killed. Okay, so all right, the next thing is the larger local or regional catastrophe. Okay, now this is as powerful as 100, I'm sorry, 10,000 megatons. Okay, so this is a very huge event. Okay, and it destroys area equal to a small country. Okay, so this is a very major event, and it can, in one go, it can destroy the whole country. Okay, now average interval for whole Earth, it seems to be pretty low. It is 1 lakh years. Okay, so this is a very rare event, thankfully. But even though it is rare, we cannot deny the fact that it is very dangerous. Okay, so again, I would say it is a moderate risk, because in a span of 100 years, many things happen. There is this global warming, which is melting the glaciers in the Arctic, and there are many other things, tsunamis, cyclones, etc. So it is again, I would say it is a moderate risk, not a minor, compared to the other natural disasters. Okay, so now we move on to the finale of this season. Okay, so it is called as the global catastrophe, and it is greater than 1 million megatons. So 1 million is 6 zeros after one, and this is how great this event can be. Okay, now, in this particular event, okay, the global environment might change. So, in just one impact, the total atmosphere, all the atmosphere of the Earth, it can change permanently. Okay, and it can threaten many civilizations, obviously. So, and the average interval for the whole year is 1 million years. Okay, so these are rarer than the other ones, but these are like, there is no comparison to the danger, because it is going to destroy everything. Okay, the Earth will no longer be able to support humans, right? This is a major risk relative to other natural disasters. Okay, so all of you, or many of you, might have heard about the 29th April close approach, right? So there was this great buzz amongst the media that this asteroid named, so this is the picture of the asteroid. This asteroid named 1998 OR2 is going to approach the Earth on 29th April. So people thought कि there were a lot of memes going around the internet. People thought कि पहले तो मतलब 2020 की शुरुआत ही ऐसे हुई कि World War III का हम लोग को danger था. Then we had wildfires in Australia. Then this is the guest coronavirus is refusing to leave the Earth. And now we have this the finale of the season, which is going to end everything. Okay, so people thought that this particular asteroid is going to collide on Earth, and everything will be destroyed. But actually it was not this case. Okay, so how many of us actually made an effort to go to some website and find out about this asteroid, if it is actually going to do what people are saying? Okay, so as amateur astronomers, I think all of us should do this, and we should behave like responsible citizens, and we shouldn't encourage such things. Okay, so there was this asteroid named 1998 OR2, and it was estimated to come very close to Earth. Okay, so how close? Yes, it was estimated to come to 16 times the Earth-Moon distance. Okay, now the distance between Earth and Moon is 384,000 kilometers. Okay, So this particular asteroid was expected to, pass by Earth at a distance of 16 times that of between Earth and Moon. Okay, and its diameter was 2 to 3 kilometers. Okay, and as I told you, the distance of closest approach was 16 times, and it was not at all going to hit the Earth. Okay, so this was the baseline of it. It was not going to hit the Earth, but it just created the stir in the media and the buzz. Okay, so this is the orbit of what the orbit of that particular asteroid looked like. This blue thing is the orbit of the Earth. Okay, sorry, this blue thing is the orbit of the Earth, and this white curve is the orbit of that planet. Okay, sorry, planet orbit of that asteroid. Okay, so this is the asteroid and this is Earth, and so you can see that the proximity, it was passing very close to the Earth, but not as close as it would land on the Earth or cause any kind of destruction. Actually, interestingly enough, there is a second asteroid, okay, near Earth asteroid, Apophis, okay, and this might interest you a bit. So, the closest approach of this asteroid is estimated to be on 13th April 2029. So, 9 years from now, it is going to make its closest appearance, and the minimum distance is expected to be 0.1 times of the lunar distance. So it is going to pass like very close from the Earth. Okay, and so what is 0.1 times the lunar distance? It is approximately 38,000 kilometers. So that is the distance where we have our our artificial satellites. Okay, like geocentric satellites are situated at that distance from the Earth. Okay, so it is going to pass very close through these satellites and Earth. And the very interesting thing is that it may be visible by naked eyes. So scientists and astronomers are very excited about this event because we have never seen an asteroid through our naked eyes, right? Because they are so small and they are far away. But this time we might get an opportunity to see them through our naked eyes. Okay. The diameter of this particular one is 370 meters, and it is no need to worry about it. It is surely going to miss the Earth. Okay, so it is just an great astronomical event that everyone can enjoy, and I hope you remember after 9 years to not miss this particular thing. Okay, now again, this is the orbit of that particular asteroid, the white thing. So here in this image, you can see the Earth is also at the same point, and the asteroid is also almost at the same point. So if you compare it with the previous image which I had shown you, you can compare the proximity. This close approach is like very close. Okay? Now, how can we save Earth in such situations? So I think we are very lucky up until now that all these asteroids have passed by and none of it has landed on Earth to cause like a major destruction. Yes, but can we just rely on this luck? No, right? We are not dinosaurs, and so we are not going to sit there hands on hands and watch such an asteroid come on Earth and kill every one of us. So like we have to do something. Okay, so obviously there are some strategies which are planned and which are under discussions, okay, all throughout the world. So the first thing will be obviously to detect them. Okay, तो मतलब हवा में तो गोली नहीं मार सकते, right? So we need to know where that particular thing is, when it is going to come close to the Earth, and all of this we need to accurately measure the orbit of that particular thing. Okay, so first of all we need to detect. Okay, the second thing is how can we deflect this thing. Okay, how can we deflect it? How can we kind of move it away from its orbit, force it to take a new orbit so that it will not come towards the Earth. Okay, so there are various ways in which deflection can be done, or it is like thought of that we can deflect these things using these particular ways. Okay, so we will discuss about that later on in the slides, but so far there are three ways. The first one is gravitational tractor, then second one is by using lasers or sunlight, and the third one is impactor. Okay, and the last one is destruction, so to destroy it. All right, so let's see what these things are. So the first of all, what I mentioned to you was detection. Okay, so we need to know the path of that asteroid accurately. Okay, now how are these asteroids detected in first place? Okay, So what people do is, now we have these huge great telescopes now with us. We are blessed with the progress in science and technology, and now we can clearly look at the sky. So what people do is they take pictures of skies every night, okay, and at particular time, say at 10 p.m. if I take the picture of a particular area in the sky, tomorrow night again I am going to picture the same area in the sky at the same time, okay. So they do this consecutively for some days, okay, and then they compare the results, okay. So as you can see in this picture, the background stars have, they are in the same positions, because as I told you, stars are very far away from us, और मतलब एक दिन के पीरियड में वो इतना कुछ मूव होने वाले नहीं है. But as you can see, there is the small speck in the center, okay, this one. Yes, it is moving. Yeah, right. So if you compare these images, this particular speck is not stationary, it is not in the one position, but it is moving from one place to other. Okay. So when scientists or astronomers find something like this, what they do is they compare it to the already known data, okay. So this particular thing, it can be a planet as well. So we all know planets are moving around the sun, okay, and they change their position every day. So it could have been a planet, it could have been an asteroid which is already detected, okay. So to avoid confusion, they compare these results with the database which they have in the computers, and after comparison, if it is already known, if that object is already known, then well and good. If not, then congrats, you have find something new, you have find probably a new asteroid. And so then that particular speck is watched every day, and then they try to find more information about it, like what is the orbit, what is it made up of, and etc. Okay, so this is how the asteroids are detected. Okay, so there's also this center called Center for Near Earth Object Studies, CNEOS. It comes under NASA, and they also have their own website. Okay, so it is the NASA Center for Computing Asteroid and Comets Orbits, and their odds of Earth impact. So they have all the database over there up till now, and it continuously it updates the orbital parameters if there are any changes in the orbits of those asteroids. They also calculate the close approaches, impacts, risk, etc. Okay. So if at all we have any doubt about any close approach, okay, if this particular thing is going to hit Earth or not, you can go to this website and you can check it for yourself. Okay. So this is just a screenshot of how their website looks like. Okay. So this is the list of all the objects. Yes. And this is the close approach date. Okay. So if you can see here, this Apophis, it is going to make a close approach on 2029 April 13. Okay. Now these are the other parameters, such as minimum distance, with what velocity, what is the estimated diameter, etc. So you have all this information at your hands, and anytime if anyone tells you, that asteroid is going to attack the Earth, make sure you recheck with these things, and also tell your friends about this. So apart from CENEOS, we have another site which is Lincoln Neo Search Systems. Okay, so it is a collaboration of the U.S. Air Force, okay, United States Air Force, NASA, and MIT's Lincoln Laboratory for systematic detection and tracking of near-Earth objects. Okay. Now that was all about the detection. Okay, the second step was deflection of these asteroids. Okay, so how can we make them to change their path, to change their original path, which was leading to impact on Earth. So what is a gravitational tractor? Okay, it diverts the path of the approaching asteroid using the gravity of a spacecraft. Okay, so what can be done in this case is that you can send a spacecraft, a huge one, near that asteroid. And so as we all know, the Newton's law of gravitation, the asteroid has some mass, the spacecraft has some mass, and due to the mutual gravity, we might be able to kind of shift that asteroid a bit. Okay, so what would happen is that spacecraft will fly along the asteroid for a very long period of time. It can be from years to decades, and like slowly pull it out from the Earth's path. Okay, now divert it can also be thought of diverting that asteroid to other locations in space where we can actually use it for research. Okay, so not only we are avoiding the impact, we are also using it for the research. Now these things have never been tried. Okay, and it would require decades for planning such a mission, for building the machinery, for launching and also carrying out that particular mission. Okay, now there is this pro of this particular mission is that not much of the information will be needed. Okay, so if you need to carry out this gravitational tractor project, you don't need to know about what material that particular thing is composed of. Okay, so you just need to know the mass, because gravity is only dependent on mass. Okay, so you don't need to know the other factors. Okay, so this is kind of a pro, but the con is that it is a very slow process. Okay, so as I said, it might take years and decades before such a thing can cause deflection in the asteroid's orbit. Okay, now the second way was moving asteroids with lasers. Okay, so as you all know, lasers, when we point it at something, after some time they cause the object to heat, right? So we can use lasers to heat the asteroid. Okay, so we can point at that asteroid and we can heat them. The gas released out, it can act as a thruster to change the orbit. Okay, now we also have a better substitute for lasers. Okay, so we have sunlight, we have natural sunlight which can be used. So what we can do is we can send spacecraft. So actually here I have an interesting GIF. So what we can do is we can send spacecrafts near that asteroids. Okay, and that spacecraft can have huge mirrors and lenses to concentrate that sunlight onto that asteroid. Okay, so we all have that performed that experiment of a magnifying glass wherein we concentrate sunlight on a paper and the pigments, right? So this is a similar kind of a concept, but just on a very huge scale. Okay, so these huge mirrors or lenses, they can be used to concentrate and cause the material to come out, to eject from it, the gases to evaporate. Okay, and this kind of a thing, it can impart thrust, a small thrust to the asteroid. Okay, to change its orbit. So even a small thrust is more than enough, because it can if we do this in time, over the years the asteroid is going to go far away from the Earth. Okay, so it's a very interesting GIF which I found. All right. Now the third thing was an impactor. So we can detect the asteroid and we can send an impactor. Okay, it is an impactor. So impactor is kind of a very fast moving satellite. Okay, it can so you can launch this particular satellite, and when it reaches near the asteroid, you can accelerate it with great speed and make it to crash onto that asteroid. Okay, so the mass and the velocity of particular impactor, they will be transferred to the NAO, and then there will be some change in the velocity. Okay, so actually this is not यहाँ पे ऐसे ही हवा में नहीं गोली मारी है. It is actually a proposed project. So people thought it as a convenient way. Okay, and they have also proposed this project. They have planned this project. So it is planned by ESA, which is European Space Agency, and NASA. Okay, and the target asteroid which is chosen is Didymos satellite. Okay, now Didymos is actually a binary asteroid. Okay, so you have the main parent asteroid and you have a moon-like companion which goes around it. Okay, now the target is that moon of that asteroid. Okay, not the main asteroid but the moon of Didymos. Okay, now the size of that moon is 160 meters and it is 11 million miles away. Okay, now what exactly is this project? So it is distributed into two parts. The first part is that of NASA. Okay, so NASA is going to send a spacecraft named DART, which is Double Asteroid Redirection Test. Okay, and it is going to this particular spacecraft is going to be an impactor. Okay, so it is going to be sent on July. The launch date is temporarily set to be July 2021. Okay, and it will reach that asteroid's moon. You can see here, this is the moon of Didymos, and it will reach the asteroid on October 22. And so it is going to crash land onto this asteroid. So you can see a small explosion over there. Okay, and because of that, it is going to create a small crater on that moon. Okay, Now, after that, ESA comes in. Okay, so European Space Agencies, they are going to send a second spacecraft. I'm sorry, named Hera, and it is proposed to launch later after that impact in 2024. Okay, and it is going to go there and it is going to study about the impact and the after effects of this impact. Okay, so how much of the orbit has changed of Didymos, how much change is there in the period of Didymos, the orbiting period. Okay, so all these things are going to be studied in depth by this particular satellite. Okay, so this is a very interesting project, and we have high hopes from these things because we can actually, if this turns out to be successful, this particular way can be thought of as a convenient way as and we can use it in the future. Okay, now the third way is, can you destroy an asteroid? Okay, so okay, so this is a fun picture. You most of you might have known who this is. Okay, so this is none other than Kim Jong Un, the president of North Korea. Okay, so we all know the slight love for nuclear weapons that this man has, this great man has. Okay, so what will the supporters of Kim Jong Un say? They will say that just explode the asteroid, send some explosives, send some nuclear weapons, and just destroy that asteroid. But do you think that this is kind of considerable option for for saving the earth? Okay, so I want all of you all to think about this. Okay, and just let us know in the chat section below about your opinions. Okay, so we are very interested to know what you all think about this particular option. Okay, now, here I have a short video of actually a movie. It was released in 1998. It is a science fiction actually, and it is how these bunch of people, they came together and they saved Earth from an asteroid impact. Okay, so I just hope you enjoy this particular video. Okay. Here it goes. Oops, sorry. I think it is lagging a bit. So as we all know, 65 million years ago, these great creatures, these dinosaurs, they were having a blast on the earth. Okay, and then let's see what happened. Okay, guys, so that's it for today. And I thank every one of you for being patient throughout the lecture. And I hope you have learned about new things and you have enjoyed this lecture. So, just if you have enjoyed this lecture, please like our page for future to get to know about the future events. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Any other?
Hello, say. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hello.
Please go.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Sai, for this amazing talk. First of all, it was a very informative lecture, and
Yes.
definitely people have learned a lot of things through this asteroid talk. So, uh, okay. So we have some questions with us. So maybe we will take one by one, and then we
Yes.
can discuss more about these things on the board. So the first question is about just a second. Yeah. So the question is, please provide a little more information on the collisions which happened on Earth. So, in the previous era, there were some asteroids has been hit on the Earth's surface. So, can you just talk little bit on that same?
Okay, so first of all, I have included the side about Tunguska event, right? So that was an event
Yeah,
which took
right.
like way back. And in history, we also had this event on dinosaurs. And actually, in India itself, I don't remember the exact date or exact time, but it is estimated to have been taking place about 35 to 50,000 years ago in Buldhana district in Maharashtra. Okay, you have this beautiful lake, this Lonar Lake, right? So some of you must have visited, and if you haven't, you must plan a trip there. So what happened that time was this huge asteroid. It landed on the Earth, and it had created a big crater over there. So there is this crater of almost 1.8 kilometer, and it is 150 meters deep. Okay, so it is not so great as compared to that dinosaur wala thing I told you. It was almost 150 kilometers wide, but this is there in India, and you surely should visit it. So this is one of the spectacular ones. Okay, and the most recent one was also in Rajasthan, actually, on June 20th. Okay, so but it did not
Okay.
cause any destruction. There was just the small stone. It weighed hardly 3 kgs, and it landed in the desert in Rajasthan. And people over there, they heard a big blast at that time, and then they
Yeah,
reported
right.
then they reported to the police, and the police came, and they gave it away to the research institute.
So basically, just a question that I have, like, I mean, what happens to such rocks or like such junks which falls on the earth? I mean, what happens after that? Like, I mean, with that.
Okay, so these rocks which fall on the Earth, they are actually thought of about the chunks of asteroids, right? So I already told you why do we study asteroids. So these are actually almost like gems to the scientists. Okay, so these are taken away to the institutes where they actually conduct research of what they were made up of and what kind of minerals are present in them, etc. So it is a very informative source. So rather than going on an asteroid and then carrying out all these researches, it is a very cheap one, right? So nature has offered you an opportunity to carry out these experiences on the Earth. Experiments, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. There is one more question from Ashwini. Uh, okay. Are there any more such events? So I guess you had answered about this. There were some events happen. So there is a question from one of the participant that how name asteroids. Like, I mean, suppose if you have to name the asteroid, what are the things that astronomers take into consideration while naming them?
Okay, so this recent approach, the close approach of an asteroid, that asteroid was named 1998 OR2, right? So the first four digits, it indicates the year of the discovery, okay? So 1998 means that particular asteroid was discovered in the year 1998, and scientists have been, tracking this asteroid since 2 decades, okay? And the first letter, the O, it indicates the month in which it was invented. Okay, So for this, they have this big nomenclature where the letters of the English alphabet, they are divided. The two letters, they represent a month. So A and B represent January. So 1 to 15 January will be A, 15 to 30 will be B. Okay, so on it goes for C, D, E, F, like that. Okay, so O, according to that particular nomenclature, O means it was July, 15th to 30th of July, and then R means, in July also there were many asteroids detected, right? So maybe there were 30 asteroids detected. So how will you further, extend this name? So what they do is they give a letter R, for example, and then they have a small subscript 2. So that 2 indicates how many cycles from A to Z have been there. Okay, so 2 says that A to Z we have gone twice. So 25 twos are 50. And R is I guess it is the 19th letter, I don't remember. So 50 plus 19 will be 69. So in 1998, in the month of July, this particular asteroid is the what did I say? 69th asteroid discovered. So
Right.
it goes like.
Right. Yeah. There is. I mean, this was really something new which I was not knowing about. Uh, there is one more question is about: is it possible to have a life on asteroids? I mean, people are searching for the life on Mars. People are searching for the life on different, moons of the planet. Is there a possibility that the asteroid can have a life? Like, I mean, there can be some microbes or like some small particles, which can be there live on that asteroid. Is it possible? Like,
Okay, so never say no. Okay, there might be a possibility because recently, actually, this field is under a lot of research. Okay, this is a new field, and people were not given so much attention to asteroids before. Okay, so as I said, in Ceres, the first asteroid discovered, we have found subsurface oceans. Okay, so there is a hint that some oceans might be present inside the surface. Okay, so there is obviously some very little possibility that some primitive life might be there, like but I don't think any advanced life form the asteroids can support such advanced life form. So this is still under research. So we'll get to know about it
okay,
soon.
okay. Then there is a question again. Uh, do you think that Jupiter, by any chance, could save us from asteroid?
So
Like,
Jupiter
I mean,
actually.
yeah, I mean, since the Jupiter is a huge planet,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, I mean, can it be a savior, like kind of thing from asteroids?
Interestingly enough, Jupiter actually saves us from a lot of things, like not only asteroids, but also some comets. Okay, so these comets, which are, they are generated in the exterior part of the solar system, they come inside the solar system, and because of the gravity and the hugeness of Jupiter, it actually, attracts all of this. So, it just takes all these attacks on itself and it saves the inner solar system in a way. And also in asteroids, related to asteroids, it is attracting so many asteroids towards itself, and there are many asteroids in its own orbit. So it is kind of doing the job, but on the other hand, it also derails some of the asteroids from the orbit, and which is why they flow, I mean, they are thrown towards the earth. Okay, so we cannot say completely that Jupiter is saving, but it does play its role in avoiding some things.
Right. Okay. There is again a question: do all asteroids have irregular shape, or do have their? I mean, some of the asteroids may have a particular shape like that.
So most of them, they have irregular shape, as I said, because they do not have so much of mass, and they are not so big that gravity can actually shape them to be circular. So if you see in space, all the stars, the planets, they are mostly circular. Why? Because they are more massive and a lot of gravity is associated with it, right? But these asteroids are very little, so their shapes are not so formed, they're not so well defined. Okay, so most of them are of irregular shape, they are not circular. But Ceres is one of the circular ones because it is also the largest one, so it has considerable amount of gravity with it. So yeah, Ceres is one of the circular asteroids.
Right. Okay. So I guess this all questions that we had till now. Nitin and Sachin, Nitin and Shakti, if you have any questions, you can directly ask the speaker. Or, if there are no questions, then we may end talk. Yeah, I also request participant if they have any questions, then you can simply type it on the and we will like to answer your doubts.
Sai?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to suggest one thing. Please talk on that the nuclear weapon. Please elaborate this thing so well you can give a proper
Okay, yeah, yeah.
explanation on that.
Yes, right, right, right. Okay, so I'll just go back to that slide. Okay, so this was the slide that I had shown everyone, and I have asked a question. Okay, so what do you think that can we destroy an asteroid using nuclear weapons? Okay, so will it be a method that we can use? Okay, so in my personal opinion, I don't think it will be a good way because you have to take into account the after effects as well, right? So if you at all, if there is some asteroid, coming close to the Earth and on its path to destroy Earth, and if you send some explosives the, in a satellite towards that asteroid, and if you cause an explosion, then after the explosion, it might happen that that asteroid has been fragmented into many pieces. Okay, so first of all, that would create a havoc because you will have to track those many more pieces now in the future. Okay, and some of them might even get accelerated towards the earth. So there are many such factors which are there, and you cannot always be 100% sure कि नहीं ये नहीं होगा, because you also have the recent Chandrayaan example. Okay, so it was obviously a very well planned mission by very intelligent people from India. Okay, but some things do go wrong, and those are not in a hand. So destroying won't be a better alternative. We obviously have these other alternatives like impactor, etc., and that is the reason why ESU and NASA is actually trying to carry out these experiments well beforehand. So God forbid if there is any situation wherein we have to use such a thing, then we should be ready with it and we should know how to do these things. Okay, so this is what my opinion is.
Okay. Shakti, if you have anything to discuss.
No, I don't have any.
Sure.
So,
Okay, Sai,
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Also, I like to explain there are many confusion between meteors, like comets and asteroids. If you can just
Okay.
differentiate what is exactly the comet and asteroid.
Okay. So comets are actually very smaller than asteroids. Okay. So and they mostly originate from the old cloud or the Kuiper belt, which is beyond the orbit of Pluto. Okay. So they come from the farthest end of the solar system. Okay. And we can see them very rarely, like once in a few hundred years. Okay, so also these comets, they have a lot of gas, and when they approach the sun they form a particular tail, so you can they are beautiful sight to watch. Okay, but asteroids are actually somewhat more dangerous than comets because firstly they are bigger in size, they are closer to the comets, to the earth, and we have known from the history that there are many asteroid impacts on the earth which have taken place. Okay, and yeah, so asteroids are more massive than comets. There is also some confusion about asteroids, meteors, and meteorites, right? So asteroids are those huge chunks which are going around the Earth, or sorry, going around the Sun. Okay, but when such asteroid or a fragment of asteroid comes closer to the Earth, okay, like bolides or the shooting star example ones. So these small parts, they are actually they come into the atmosphere, okay, with a great speed, and they do not cause any harm. They just can be seen as a streak of light in the sky. Okay, so these are known as meteors. But if something of that, if that stone or if that chunk it falls on the earth, it is called as meteorite. Okay, so that is meteors. If they are, they explode in the sky itself, if they are seen as a streak, a very tiny beautiful one in the sky, but if they land on the earth and they cause explosion, they are called as meteorite. Okay.
Okay. I guess it was well explained by how we differentiate between asteroid, comets, and meteors. So I guess there are no more. If there are questions, then Nitin, you can go ahead. Yeah.
So we can then continue with the comment box. They people can
Let's
watch our
see if
videos,
there
and
are
if
any
they have any
comments.
queries,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I also request participants if they have any questions, they can ask it in our chat box, or even after even after talk, if you want to have some discussion, you can. I mean, we are always open for the discussions about astronomy and space science. And I guess by this, I take the opportunity to thank Sai for this amazing, and we'll be updating our participant about about the future talks that we are going to. This is what we are, we are basically into spreading astronomy and space among India, among youths in India, and I mean, this is just a start about what we have tried to get people in astronomy and space. So, by this, I just thank everyone. There's a lot of support team which is working back on this live sessions. Thanks Shakti, thanks Nitin, and thanks Sai for that. Maybe we will soon host one more talk on the various topics in astronomy and space science. Yeah, Nitin, you have to say something.
to just inform you guys that today we had a lunar eclipse. So I will request you to just go to the websites and learn about what is lunar eclipse. And if you guys have any questions regarding eclipses, lunar eclipses, then you can you can ask questions on our message box or comment box. If you want, we can keep talk on the eclipses also, on lunar eclipse on request. Okay. So we are happy to conduct this kind of sessions to spread awareness about astronomy and space science. So that's all.
Yeah. So I guess we are going to end now. So thanks to all the participants and all the viewers for staying with us for the more than 1.5 hours now. So so thanks a lot. And I guess we will end this live session now. And if you guys have any doubts about about the today's talk, you can simply message to us, or you can simply type in the comment box. We will be happy to answer your doubts, all the doubts. So thanks a lot, and clear skies to all of you. And last but not the least, happy Guru Purnima to all of you. We also, I just take this opportunity to thank our gurus, all the gurus who have taught us astronomy and space science. It's because of them we have reached till this point, and I hope we will continue this good work throughout the upcoming years. So thanks a lot, all of you, and thanks all the team which is working behind this thing, and thanks Sai especially.
Yes, thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Okay.
Yeah. Shakti sir, I guess you can now, you can just turn off the live thing, and we will go back. Yeah, sign off for today.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, have a nice day. Bye.